Hey, everybody, welcome to the Fancy Werewolf Lounge. And guess what? Apparently, money's fake. It's not real, people. And it took Reddit to show us all that. So, yeah. So,
Thank God for Reddit.
yeah, I don't quite know about that, but okay. Hey, everybody, I'm your host, Josh Pfizer.
Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Liberty Bell.
And you're listening to the Fancy Werewolf Lounge. We are joined today by Mr. Tanner Randall. Tanner Randall, how are you doing?
I'm good. That's also how I say my name, so you're good.
Randall
I
Tanner.
also slur and stumble through it every time.
It's a very classic Josh move to have some sort of weird little fluke while he's introducing the guests. So
You know what, Liberty?
Well, my
You know
excuse is
what?
I'm never sober.
Don't feel special.
You know what, Liberty? You know what?
What, Josh? What?
Maybe I could do this podcast all on my own. I'm kidding.
Good.
I cannot do this
You very
podcast by
well
myself.
could.
I really
Actually,
need
I
your
almost suggested that. No, I'm just kidding.
help.
I'm kidding. At least the viewers know that Josh and I talk a lot of shit on each other. Tanner's never met me before. He's probably just like, who is this crazy person? Well,
Don't worry, I'll talk as much shit as anyone else.
I'm with it.
All right. Well, Tanner, how you doing?
I'm good. This week, like every other week for the last 58 weeks has been crazy. So
Oh wow, you've been counting them down.
Counting them up.
yeah, they're only going up. It's only going higher.
He's got a
Oh my God.
chalkboard.
We have so much we can discuss because just Jesus Christ. Every goddamn, and maybe it's just that I need to get off Twitter because it's just everything is just overloading. Like there's so much news and I don't know what thing to focus on is. But anyway,
And what's important and like what's just noise?
yes, that's exactly
It's
the
a
right
mess.
term is noise. It's a lot of it is noise. But anyway, Tanner, we usually ask our guests two questions. One, how have you been? How have you been doing physically, mentally, and how have you been staying physically, mentally, and emotionally well during this time? And what kind of media have you been enjoying lately?
Physically, I'm starting to feel healthy. I had about 3.5 weeks starting on New Year's where I was like real sick.
Ooh.
I took my test, came back negative, so it's not COVID. And I'm starting to feel good again. I'm about to be laid off. I think people are forgetting now that jobs numbers are going up. A lot of companies are going to be shutting down because of the bad fiscal year they had last year. So I'm soon to be unemployed, which obviously does wonders for your mental health. It really makes you feel good. So that's stressful. But you know, I own a house and I'm married, so you know it's kind of hard to complain about everything.
Right.
Things could be worse.
Yeah, for sure.
Could be worse. You could be.
No, go ahead.
Discuss what could be worse.
No, please tell me what could be worse.
You could be a Wall Street bro. That's the joke. But I know you're a huge nerd. So what have you been consuming lately in terms of media? We had kind of a discussion about Godzilla on Facebook.
Correct. Mostly motivated, I'm assuming, from like the new trailer and the announcement of Kong versus Godzilla. Yeah, I'm probably gonna rewatch the newer ones, you know, from the 2014 up till Kong Skull Island and War of the Monsters. I just bought that on 4K, so I'm gonna rewatch that soon.
Is that the one from the mid 2000s, late 2000s, or is that
War of the Monsters?
Yeah,
that's the one from like last year.
Oh, okay.
Or
you mean
King
Godzilla King of Monsters? I think that's what it was
King
called.
of Monsters. Yes, it's a remake of the old War of the Monsters from like 1958.
Right.
Yeah, I liked it. It's a perfectly okay movie, like every other Godzilla movie. They are perfectly okay.
Well, except for
Um,
the original one, the very first one, that is undeniable classic, and it is genuinely
Oh yeah.
scary. It is genuinely scary, especially when you consider its reaction to uh what happened to with the fear the Japanese had after we dropped the nuclear bombs on them.
Oh yeah, it's incredibly relevant to the time it was released because
Yeah.
like that's the other thing. It was only like, like 15 years after that happened, if that. So like, it's still heavy on the mind for everybody. Otherwise, I've been playing a lot of Hitman 3 because I mostly play video games. So I've been playing Hitman 3. The Pedestrian just came out yesterday. I've been playing that.
How
I
have
just
you been liking that?
worked. Hitman 3 is a straight up masterpiece. That game is, because it came out in January, will be forgotten by the end of the year, but everyone should play that game. It's so freaking fun. There's just not a lot of games where you can slap people with fishes. So
Yeah,
it's why people should play that game.
I tried playing the first Hitman. I think it's the first Hitman. Try to get through that, and I just have a hard time doing the missions correctly. Like eventually I get caught and like have to shoot my way out until eventually they all kill me.
So I had the same issue with the first Hitman. I played it right when it came out because I played the old PS2 ones like back in the day. And I guess when I say first Hitman, I'm referring to, I think it was 2014.
Yeah, like I don't know if it was a
the World of
remaster.
Assassination is what this trilogy is called, the current run. And I didn't get it. Like, I owned it. I did not understand the game. I kind of got through it, but it didn't click. I kind of got done with it and I moved on. When the second one came out about 3 years ago, I got into it. It started to make sense when I looked at it as a puzzle. A puzzle where you're constantly going to, oops, I screwed up. I'm going to load my last save. And then you start like, oh, I'm going to quick save before I try this. And then if it fails, I'm just going to load back out to it. And then you start realizing it's about learning patterns. And then it becomes speed runs and then introducing new challenges. And then when you understand the menu system, which is terrible, when you start realizing you can actually set objective markers of like, oh, I need to kill this person by pushing them into a garbage. Well, I can select that on the menu and the game will actually guide me to do that.
Right.
It becomes a much simpler, more fun experience. And then once you've done all of those, then it's like, all right, well, here's a checklist of, well, I need to kill this person by poisoning them until they throw up and then drowning them. So how do I do that? So now it's solving the puzzle of how do I kill them in a specific way? And then the new one's taken all of those cool things and made it into a much cooler, more better functioning world. That's way more interactive and more living. The quest systems are a lot more like things go bad and you have to change kind of willy-nilly, or there's a level where you're just like, hey, you know nothing. Figure out who you're supposed to kill and why and how. We're not going to tell you anything. Like, that quits holding your hand. I'm obsessed. It's so good.
Awesome. That's great. And you are Twitch streamer, and have you started up your podcast yet? I know we talked about that. You were a guest on my other podcast, and
we were. My co-host got the COVID.
okay.
And he has been struggling with it. He's over, right? He's got his negative test, but he is still dealing with significant health problems from it. So we have kind of put a pause on all of that since we obviously can't meet in person. I've been trying to pivot to getting like a Twitch talk show format going, but I'm kind of waiting until I have free time coming up soon. To delve into getting like designs and like graphics and actually investing some time into it, because I'm going to have a lot of it while I'm collecting unemployment.
Right.
Hell yeah, milk that money bag.
Yeah, you and Liberty are kind of in the same boat, unemployment wise. Not to put anybody's business.
Oh, I still have not collected any unemployment benefits. So, and I've been unemployed since August.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's yeah, the bureaucracy.
It's fine. I'll wait for it. They can give me a real big check and okay, I might take a vacation. Who knows?
Yep.
Oh God, that might not happen until summer, from what I hear.
Yeah.
Which
Well,
is,
not much
I
is
mean,
happening.
it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, it's not as soon as I would like it to happen. Like everything kind of getting better. I'm getting used to not saying get back to normal because I think by like the longer this goes on, we're getting to a point where it's not going to get back to normal. I mean, politically, we already know that. Like, Trump's not in office anymore, but the world has changed so much because of his presidency, and not for the better.
And continue existence.
Yeah. What has he been up to? Has he been doing? I mean, ever since he got banned from Twitter, I guess he doesn't have a specific outlet. I guess it's weird.
Well, he just got a new outlet because he set up his official office of former POTUS. He literally used the anagram F POTUS, which is just
just
so
beautiful.
good.
Just of
so
fucking
good.
course. F POTUS.
So he has started releasing statements via that. They're essentially verified tweets that have been brushed over by a media staff to be cleaned up.
Which why did he not have?
He's incompetent.
Yeah, why didn't he have that wall in office? Like, well, I'm sure like a lot of people. I heard a story like back early days of his
Because he was
presidency
getting
where
away with it. He was getting away with it. So why would he stop?
Yeah,
He's
you're
like,
right. Like,
he's a egomaniac power tripper. Of course he's gonna do whatever he can until he can't anymore.
yeah,
And now he's like a little dog with his tail between his legs, pissed,
Eating his McDonald's and KFC.
Yeah, who knows what he's fucking doing? I don't really give a shit what he's doing.
Yeah.
I hope
He's
he just
probably
falls
touching
off the
Ivanka's
face of
butt.
the fucking earth. Yeah, no shit.
Well, you know what? I don't think he is a sexual being. Like that's the thing. I think he's one of from what I hear, like like people have said,
He's
like
an incel then.
Huh?
He must be incel then.
Yeah, well, no, well, I think it's just he likes to project the appearance of being this sexual dynamo type. Like he would leak so much so that he would leak stories of him cheating on his wives. Like
he paid a porn star to spank him with a magazine with his face on it. That's not sexual.
Yeah, I know. You're right. It's just it's a thing. I just think he's just a guy who I mean, I think we all know this by now, and I can't like this isn't new information, but like he is the kind of guy who's mostly posturing.
I mean, it's a power thing, which I think comes off as, which can be sexual. It's just how can he demonstrate dominance over other things? Mm-hmm. It's essentially he's like masculinity, the person. So like it's, I don't know, it all makes sense, and it's hard to say he's not sexual when he makes those gross comments about his like daughter and stuff, but then also maybe it's not sexual and maybe it's just demeaning women, which then it's about power and sex, and I don't know, it's all historians are going to be psychoanalyzing that fuck for like forever.
And I think we just now just need to give up on that, because it's just like we're never gonna he's just a dumbass. He's just a dumb shit. He's just a dumb shit.
There's nothing gained from figuring it out.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like, what a waste of time. Just let the dude die, like just,
which will probably be soon.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure like, his ego was keeping him alive all through his presidency. But let's
I truly hope though that the Senate does convict him as far as the impeachment goes. Like, I'm sorry, but I think that's fucking bullshit that American taxpayers are going to pay for 13 of his family members to be protected by Secret Service. Fuck him. Fuck his family. Fuck his travel budget. Fuck all that shit. And fuck him ever holding public office again. It's just my personal opinion, but I don't think they can hide behind the fact that they're scared of him anymore when he's been out of office. Fuck that guy. I think
the Republicans can, and that's why I don't think anything's going to come of it, because he still controls the Republican Party. Fucking Kevin McCarthy just went down to visit him, which you shouldn't be traveling to Florida when things are good, let alone when things are bad. But the minority leader of the House.
Okay. Tanner, when are things ever good in Florida?
There's like a 10-mile radius that kind of starts at Disney, and then goes out about 10 miles, and then that's it.
That's it. Yes. There's a little bit of Miami, and there's that part of Miami where women just wear the skimpiest thongs, and then nothing
So do
else.
the men.
And so do the men.
And there we go. Josh sexualizing women for no reason on the podcast.
I do it out of love. I do it out of the.
I would love to live in a climate where I could also
acknowledge your implicit bias, please. Just acknowledge it.
Yes, but also like I do it out of love of butts, as I believe everyone should.
I'm not gonna. I said what I needed to say. Moving on. Then he tries to defend it. That's fine. I see you.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry.
I'll get in the boat with you. I love boobs, but everyone should love boobs. Boobs are great. Faces are great. Butts are great. Bodies are great. Dicks are great. It's all wonderful.
Yep. Agreed.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, it's been a hell of a week. God, it's so weird that two things happened on the same day, and I don't know how to parse it out. But to stay on the Trump thing, I guess, Kellyanne Conway, I guess, is now a child pornographer officially.
Yep.
She leaked a topless photo of her 16-year-old daughter.
16. Yeah,
on something called Fleet. I don't know that app. I'm not.
It's Twitter.
It's just Twitter?
That's what the little stories are on the Twitter. They're called Fleets.
Okay.
Because they're fleeting.
God
yeah,
damn
it's Instagram stories for Twitter.
Yeah, god damn it, Twitter. Like that.
I didn't even know that was a thing. And
yeah, me neither. Like,
how did I not know that?
I Jesus Christ, I just, everything should just be its own thing. Like Twitter is just, 200 and what at this point, 280 characters they can do.
Yep.
Instagram is where you do pictures. TikTok is where you do little snippets
I'm
of things.
confused why you have to have like a story on any of them. It's like, okay, I'm already posting the fucking story in my feed. Like what? I don't know. It's crazy. Like if you want to have a story, just use Snapchat. Wasn't that the point of Snapchat? Because it's like daily.
Well, the point of Snapchat is to send nudes and then they go away. But you're right about that too.
Unless you're Christy Elliott. And then you have to be reminded that they do not go away. They exist forever.
Oh.
Hopefully they're tasteful.
Yes. Christy Ello, whatever happened with that whole thing? I don't know. Anyway, but yeah.
He went into hiding.
That fucking weirdo too.
Yeah.
God, get away. Well, that's what happens. It's cancel culture. You're done. One and done.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what.
Cool if they quit using that as a negative word. Like, if you don't want to get canceled, don't do anything to get canceled.
Right.
Like, hit on minors and send them nudes or post topless photos of your underage daughter. Like, yeah, you're going to get canceled, but that's not wrong. That is
it's exactly
right. That's public opinion. And, we used to burn people at the stake or like stone them to death for that shit. Now we just say you don't get to be part of society anymore on the internet.
Right. Well, this isn't like your game Hitman. You can't just pause, go back your previous save point and start over, like
depends on how much money you have.
Everybody needs to be held accountable.
Yeah, that's that's the thing. When
it's
with the
go ahead, Josh.
Culture argument. Like sometimes, it goes too far. Sometimes the anger is misplaced. But for the most part, people don't get as much consequences as people will say. It's just like, oh, so they're canceled forever now. Remember the Kevin Hart thing? Where a couple of years ago it came out that he did a homophobic joke, and he lost his Oscar hosting gig because of that. He's still in like 5 movies every year. Okay, like let's not kid ourselves. Cancel culture isn't as like dire as people say, and again, Donald Trump losing his Twitter account, and people saying like this is against free speech. Maybe you should look at the fact that that the biggest platform for free speech is a private company. Maybe we should look into that. But of course, also the people who whine the most about cancel culture will not let go of their capitalistic mindset.
Well, not only that, but most of the people that worry about that kind of shit are the people that need to worry about that kind of shit because they're fucking assholes,
Yes. Yes.
It's like the people the last couple of weeks who have been like, well, I'm kind of offended Joe Biden implied we were white supremacists. Well, that maybe means you're a white supremacist, like, because I am a white man who did not take offense in anything he said because I don't want to be a white supremacist and would like to think I'm not one. Ultimately, as a white man, it's kind of not up to me to decide if my behavior is racist or not anymore. But
Exactly.
people can tell me if it is, and you can correct. But if you're offended at the idea that, like, hey, Black people aren't treated fairly in this country, women aren't treated equally in this country, and you find that offensive, you should find it offensive because they're talking about you.
Right.
Right.
I just had to have that conversation with a friend and an acquaintance that the guy had said some really trashy shit to my friend about who was paying the bill, and he happens to be a Black guy, and the guy was like, oh, well, that's what all Black people do. They don't pay their own bill. And it was just like, what the fuck, So of course I had to have some words with the dude, and he was like trying to apologize to my friend about it, and I was just like, you really can't be sorry for this because you said what you fucking said, and you're a racist and you're an asshole and fuck you. And he was like trying to touch my friend and stuff, and I was just like, quit trying to touch him. You're not going to make the situation better in any way. Just leave. Just literally leave us alone. And it was just one of those moments where you're just like, how can this person think it's okay to just be like, yeah, I don't mean it like that. Like, we're friends. No, we're clearly not friends because you said this to me. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just like trying to explain yourself afterwards. Like, oh, I thought it was a joke or it was going to be funny. Like, no, you're actually just a racist. It wasn't funny. It wasn't a joke. And that's your bias showing, and you fucking suck.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, I don't know if you want to reiterate this story, but you've had interactions with racists on Facebook over a super fucked up tradition around here, and I think across the country, the ML keg thing.
Yeah, actually, I was really pleasantly surprised to see that didn't happen again this year because it's been an ongoing thing that's happened in Cedar Falls. But it was actually really funny because the other day, my friend and I were just talking or whatever, and he goes, yeah, well, whatever, Liberty, you're just the bitch that canceled ML kegs. And he was joking. But I was like, yeah, I really did, I don't know, somehow make that happen.
I don't know if this has come up before. The fuck is ML kegs?
So, like, basically a bunch of privileged little white brats.
Oh, I never would have guessed.
Decided they're going to throw a party for MLK Day because it's on a Monday, so they like get out of school, and yeah, basically they just called it ML Kegs and like posted it all over on Facebook about it, and then bars were even like following up with that, where these kids are just throwing these dumb house parties or whatever, and then literally trying to monetize it. So they're like not only doing something that's obviously really fucked up, like that's not what you do, and trying to sell like tickets to it. Like, okay, it's $10 to come to the ML Kegs party, and I just like threw a little bit of a fit on the internet over that one, and ended up with some positive results, I guess, because that's being done. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's like I'm never not gonna say something. Like, I don't care who doesn't like me. I actually almost got beat up over that a few times by privileged white kids.
Yeah, I remember you told me.
No issues saying anything. Yeah. Oh, a chick spit in my face too over it. It was
Now,
all bad.
was this the one chick who was kind of a part of the comedy scene around here?
Yeah. Well, it was her friend that actually spit on me, but she was with her also arguing and throwing blows at me while guys were holding her and her friend back. But she is actually um about to be on trial for hitting and killing that kid on a moped like 2 years ago. So it just
Oof.
goes to show you the kind of person that this particular individual is.
And that's some of the least dark shit I've heard all week.
Yeah. It's a crazy world.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you see something, you got to say something. White silence is violence. So it's important for us to do our part because it's not, if someone's a racist and a black person is trying to communicate to them like, racism, institutionalized racism or anything like that, they just deny it. Literally, they already have a dislike or hate for black people. Why are they going to listen to them? It's got to be people having conversations with white people to make change. So
Right.
it's important to do your part.
Yeah. I mean, you and me, Liberty, we were at this very small, but it was kind of an important thing, protest um at the high school up here because of some leak snaps from students there.
A lot of leak snaps,
Yep, I remember
hundreds
that.
of leak snaps. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
with
just another one of those things, they're learning this shit somewhere, so
yeah.
um it's really sad that our community has any people that think this way in it. So
Well, I mean, it is sad, but it's also like it's not surprising. I mean, we still live in an area that is majority white.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much at most towns in Iowa are going to be. But yeah, I mean, I remember, and as someone who came from a very majority white town, there was always this kind of thing that I'm just kind of figuring out what had happened. And like Jew would be thrown around as an insult around where I came from, and it was always weird to me. Like I'm just gonna say I'm even back then, not a perfect person. I probably let out a few slurs. I can't admit at one time. At one time I was most likely homophobic. It's just you gotta grow. I mean, yeah, I probably did some fucked up shit. I'm probably still gonna do some fucked up shit, but just gotta learn. Just gotta try to make up for that stuff. But the throwing around Jew as an insult, and now I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, their parents were probably doing that shit, and just I don't know if it's specifically conspiratorial or anything like that, but yeah, it was definitely like, okay, this is definitely taught because we
Oh yeah,
um
because otherwise, I mean, let's be honest. We live in Iowa. It's not like we have a super large Jewish population.
mhm,
Even like somebody has to teach them this shit.
yeah.
There's just no other way. Like, how would a young kid even know about Judaism without learning it from somewhere?
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, with separation of church and state, really don't talk about religion at all in school really until you're in higher education and you maybe take world
A
religion or
semester
something.
of
Yeah,
religion.
exactly. Like, it's most people aren't 5 years old and like, oh, I think I want to study theology, like that. It's just not like that. So
I mean, I grew up in a very, very small town in Iowa. that had no diversity, like a hard no diversity. And super small town. So even just going to Cedar Falls was a big change. Like that was a huge upgrade from where I grew up.
Right.
But I had to unlearn a lot of stuff, like even over just like the last 5 or 6 years of like, oh, those phrases my family used are racist. And I don't think the people are actively being racist, right? We weren't going to Duke to go to Klan rallies and shit. Like I was told the Ku Klux Klan was bad, right? Like it was, but there's like it's microaggressions.
Yep.
It's just the little things of just like inherited that at the time when I'm like, well, I think this might be wrong, was just like it was like, I grew up in the 70s. It's just how we talked. I'm like, all right, but like it's not the 70s now.
Right.
And it was also not okay in the 70s. I don't know. But like that's things like I've had to learn in the last 10 years, even from when I used to do comedy in Cedar Falls. I was the worst. I was a bad person. I would be somebody who I would call a racist now. But it's all about learning and listening and growing. I mean, I was terrible. I have to live in that guilt for the rest of my life.
No shit.
Yeah, and
You're
I
not
think,
lying.
all of us have been involved in comedy at some point, and Liberty, pandemic aside, still is a part of that community. But I think we all like at some point have made jokes that we're not cool. So
Yeah, you're the kind of shit you say, and then you're like, oh God, I hope nobody was recording this and this doesn't go on the internet.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't have many like that, but I'm also just like, okay, you probably shouldn't talk about illegal activities either.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I mean, there were some things back in the day that, I think were questionable that well, I'm not trying to put you on blast anyway, but anyway, enough.
No, let's go through them. Checklist them. Here's all
Let's
the
get
bad
Liberty canceled.
things you did. That's how you have to know.
Go ahead, Josh. Cancel me.
Yes.
I'm kind of
Liberty is
over it anyway.
Liberty is uncancelable. She's
I'm like, I would be just as happy going and living in the woods for the rest of my life and not dealing with any of this shit, to be honest.
There's a podcaster I like who
But I have to make a house payment. Okay, I have to. I must feed in.
Yes.
Sorry.
But enough white people proselytizing about racism in America. That you definitely should listen to more Black voices about that. But we're just saying, yeah, it's a thing we're all guilty of, and as white people, we need to do better. Anyway,
yeah, listen and self-evaluate.
Absolutely, accountability is the most important word here. If you do something wrong, admit to it and move on. Grow and move on.
Yes. Now moving on to something funny.
Well, we never even really talked about Kellyanne Conway being a little idiot, but that's fine.
Well, she's
we'll put
yeah,
her in the back.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, she posted topless photos of her teenage daughter, and
she's canceling her.
I mean, everybody's been trying to cancel her for some time. Here's the thing: the people like QAnon, all that, they seem to be silent on this. Which is
bizarre because it's their whole thing.
Yeah, but their whole thing, really, if you really look into it, is trying to maintain a right wing state. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like she ate her daughter and gained her satanic powers.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, it's like you don't. Okay, and I've said this so many times, but I just have to keep harping on it. You don't have to come up with these outlandish lies to make someone like Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden look bad. Just look at what they've done in the past, like actual things on the record, not secret bullshit. Okay. Like, God damn, man. But yeah, anyway, yeah, that's the shit. And unfortunately, this is a pattern because her daughter had come out with a TikTok video about how, and this was right after Kellyanne Conway, was released. She had COVID. How the daughter put out a video saying, yeah, I'm being abused. It's really bad. And stuff like that. And it's just it's so fucked up too. Like when seeing like comments that are just like, this little brat is ungrateful, and it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like we have this view of children in this society. I'm not even gonna say country. I'm sure it's like all around the world, but it's just like that adults who have given them the bare minimum of care, and that care is food, shelter, whatever, and that's what they need, and parents should give that to them, but it should not excuse any abuse that they also have to suffer, and
basically feel like everybody, including us, are just like at this point in our lives just like still trying to work through childhood trauma that our parents maybe don't even really realize that they necessarily caused or just were a part of. I think that there's a lot of like norms as far as like parenting goes that are actually kind of not necessarily positive for children. And I had a pretty fucking great upbringing, so like that's coming from I guess just like realizing my own life, but like in my own life and stuff.
I mean, I'll say something that's going to sound terrible, but allow me to elaborate. But one of the best things to come out of 9/11 is the way we view.
No, we're done. We're gonna meet you. Okay. Anyway, sorry. Can you say that again?
No, but like, so I grew up. I was in 8th grade when 9/11 happened. Right. So I've gotten to grow up through high school when you start to form a personal identity that was more engaged with politics. Right. Because the worst thing that ever happened in this country pre-COVID, COVID is worse than 9/11. I will say that 1,000 times. But the worst thing that had happened before this was that. And then we watched a government fail our country. We watched our government completely, like we became disenfranchised politically. I don't think I would have paid attention to politics had that not have happened in my life. It just wouldn't have been a thing I paid attention to because I had video games and comic books. I don't care about anything else. But like it became a thing where you start seeing the terrible shit we do to other countries, and then the Homeland Security shit, the security state, even Obama increasing how much we're always being watched by everything all the time, selling weapons to countries that bomb schools and hospitals, and all the terrible stuff. And now we're seeing a generation after that who's now raised in what's kind of like the school shooting generation, right? And now these people aren't just aware of politics, but have a personal stake in advancing and trying to better society, right? But our 9/11 generation has the sympathy, right? Because we went through a terrible thing altogether that I don't think is a school shooting, because that's much more of a personal traumatic thing, which whatever, it's not comparing traumas. But I think people roughly my age, maybe a little bit older, but not by much, are a lot more sympathetic towards like listening to the gun rights activists that are out there now, of just like, why aren't we listening to them? Because during the 9/11 stuff, we were also kind of trying to figure out how to have a voice politically, but you can't, right? You can't do anything politically till you're like 35. But now, you see these marches for gun rights, which is common sense gun reform that literally every other country has. You see young people activists for like healthcare reform, or even like unions trying to get livable wages or $1 raise for frontline workers during COVID. You see these people that are younger than me, who is not that old, fighting for all these things that most liberal or sane human beings agree with. Which is then they're going to be even better to the next generation after them, right? Like they're going to be more sympathetic towards the younger generation and listening to younger voices. And hopefully that's starting a cycle of like, you leave the country for the people who come after you die. So why don't you listen to those people? And I think that's a nice thing that's changing slowly.
Yeah, it's
all thanks to 9/11.
Tanner Randall says, "Thank you, 9/11."
Put it on a t-shirt.
But yeah, it is. We are seeing a more politically aware generation coming from this, for coming in the past. And a lot of it does have to do with the internet. That information is just
Yep.
more accessible. Unfortunately, like we stated at the beginning of this, how do you filter out the good, the stuff that we need to know with the noise? And that's also, but I do feel like it's more older people who are getting into the noise of it. I mean, just
Who
look.
don't use the internet? They use 24-hour news stations. They
Well, I
use
mean,
Fox News, CNN, MSNBC.
it is.
So
Well,
is it the internet's fault?
No, I don't even think that. Like, well, I do think it's the internet, but it's also the fact that they can't. They're not able. They're not as literate about it, and they're not as knowledgeable of how it works. So they'll get, they'll go down a YouTube hole. They'll like just listen to all these conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And younger
Crackpots.
people might go down that too, might go down that road, but they can navigate it. They know how to navigate it more. I mean, I can't even say might. I mean, they have. Like, that's how we get the Proud Boys. That's how we get Gamergate and stuff like that. So, um, and that's those are primarily made up of people around our age and younger. So, I mean, there's hope for the future. But anyway, let's shift topics to something that's hilarious, and that is a bunch of billionaires and millionaires losing money. And I guess
Take that.
yes, and I guess I still don't understand what happened, because I'm not economically literate, but
Because we're poor people.
I
What?
mean, do you want me to walk you through it the best I can? I
Yes,
kind of
I
do
think
grasp it.
yeah. Okay, my basic understanding is a bunch of Redditors bought a like lot of stock in GameStop, and it fucked over these hedge fund bros. And I don't know. Go ahead, Tanner. See if you could put it into
I'll
perspective.
go a step back from it. So essentially, what happened is, now I'm not going to know the terms because I refuse to learn them. Because I don't ever want to have to fucking pay attention to stocks ever again. But essentially, a hedge fund bought a bunch of stocks that were lower in price. Or I'm sorry, they sold a bunch of stocks that were lower in price. But they sold them on like a loan. So essentially, they sold them with the promise that they would buy them back when the price went down again. Right. So they sold it for $10, but the price was going to drop down to $7 because that was the way the market was trending. So then they would buy them back at the cheaper price and make that $3 profit for every share of stock. Right. That was what they were doing. That's literally manipulating the market. Right. That's 100% what that is. But word of that got out. And then people on Reddit said, fuck you, we're going to buy those that you sold at the cheaper price before they could rebuy them. So a bunch of random people, and not random people, these are still people who trade in stocks. These aren't poor people. These aren't 20 somethings. These are still fairly affluent human beings doing this. Bought them at the cheaper price, which then caused the stock to greatly increase in value, and then they sold it. Now, the problem is that original hedge fund still promised to buy all those stocks back. So now they have to buy these stocks that were valued at roughly $7. Now that they're worth like $245, they have to buy each of those stocks back to replace them because they sold them on a loan.
Right.
And so they now have to pay out millions, maybe even billions of dollars to recoup those losses, which is going to drive them bankrupt. But that's what they've been doing for years. It's just now normies did it.
Yeah, and that's fucking hilarious. That's amazing. Yeah, like you said, it's not like just average Joes who did it. It is like, it's still like finance bros, but it's and they're not. It's not like they're doing this for like class war and to try to help the little guy. I mean, they're doing it for their own benefit, but it is great to see these fucking hedge fund guys just lose their shit over this for a thing that they have been doing for decades. I mean, you watch The Big Short, you watch Wolf of Wall Street. It's basically that, and it's just weird seeing them try to pretzel themselves into like, oh no, it's okay when we do it, but when they do it and we lose money, it's so basically, like I said at the beginning of the show, money is fake. Money is fucking fake at this point. I mean, not even at this point. It's always like currency has always been kind
Once
of
we quit using the gold standard, it doesn't have meaning. It is a perceived meaning, but there is no inherent value in a single dollar bill. Now that we don't have a gold standard, money has no meaning.
Right. Exactly. And in this, time when we're discussing the $15 minimum wage, which at this point should be more like $20 or $22 minimum wage. Like 15 is the compromise that people don't realize. Like it should have been 15 5 years ago, maybe even longer ago than that. But like, yeah, and we're having this conversation, and it's just people got to realize
I
that.
actually did the math the other day. If you work at $15 an hour, 40 hours a week, you're literally only making $30,000 a year. And that's before taxes. I think people need to get a fucking grip on reality and realize that that's not even a living wage. Like you said, like if you really, really think about it, like rental properties in Cedar Falls, like the average is like probably $1,000 for like a 1 to 2 bedroom place. Like imagine people who have 4 or 5 kids and are renting. Like, I don't know. It just makes me sick to even think about. But the fact
and that's
that
Iowa, where the cost of living is low.
Exactly. And like if people can't make it here, how are you going to make it somewhere else? Like imagine making $7.25 an hour. And I just
Yeah. And you also in those cities in like New York and San Francisco, gentrification has been going on for a while, and it hiked up the prices of rent for locals. And people, you'll see like conservatives bitch about, oh, this super liberal city, San Francisco, look at how of a shithole it is. It's like it's because of the liberals, it's because of the leftists, it's because of Antifa. It's just like, no, it's because these tech companies came in and bought everything up and hiked up the prices for their gain. Like that's what's going on. That's what happened. And yeah, we just I mean, yeah, it's like I make around $20 right now, and I live in a 2-bedroom for $650. The extra 50 is for my cat.
Also, your place is really fucking cheap. Like in comparison with all the places around here for rent, that's dirt cheap. That's like,
oh yeah, no. I
pretty much as low as you're gonna get.
Yeah, I consider myself super lucky because yeah, it is for what it is. It's very cheap. It's like right by the university, so it's actually kind of prime real estate. But yeah, that's on the cheaper end. But yeah, I can't imagine if I worked a minimum wage job. I don't know. I'd need, and I would need like 2 or 3 other roommates. Which
or 2 or 3 other jobs.
Right.
Oh God, the whole like, why don't you just get another job? I don't know. I will say there's a video by a YouTuber I really enjoy, Thought Slime, who just came out with a video like I think the other day about the minimum wage, arguing all the points, and does a really good job of refuting them. So I would say check it out. Thought Slime. He's a really good YouTuber.
I do want to bring up one more thing about the GameStop stock situation. That is actually going to be what the news is going to be going forward for it.
Right.
So and by the way, attention to.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned that it was GameStop GameStop stock that was being traded.
GameStop and AMC.
AMC theaters.
Two
Yeah.
things that will not exist in 5 years. So it's weird. But one of the things that's really interesting, so the app all of this happened on was Robinhood. That is what the app is called. Obviously, the irony is palpable. The hedge fund that is involved in all of this is Citadel LLC.
Mm-hmm.
So what Robinhood is essentially a site where you can buy your stocks and do all that stuff. But what it really is, like every other app that exists, is a data aggregate. So it's collecting data on the trends of stocks, and then hedge funds invest in the app, and then they get that data, right? So they're seeing the trends that aren't released publicly. They've paid money to see data trends, and then they invest accordingly, right?
Mm-hmm.
The primary investor in Robinhood is Citadel, the group that got fucked over. Why this matters is because 2 days after this shit happened, Robinhood shut down trades on the stock that completely fucked over its primary investor. That is grossly illegal. For a free market, which we supposedly live in, literally a company losing money told them to shut down the ability to trade stocks on this. Now, what's also fascinating is that only happened in America. Other countries have stepped up their game to continue the trading while it was shut down here. Now, they slightly open it back up because they immediately caught, like, people were going to come after them for, like, doing something blatantly illegal, but they limited it up, so it's completely killed the concept of a free market. If somebody's losing money, can just decide, well, we're going to stop trading. That is where you're going to see Congress and lawsuits coming after these people, is because it's hard to interpret that as anything other than disgusting. Obviously, both parties said, well, we didn't communicate with the other one and blah, 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 but that's probably not true. Allegedly not true. That is what you're going to like. That's going to get really boring. Nobody's going to pay attention to it because it's incredibly uninteresting unless you're really deep into the weeds on it. But that is where Elizabeth Warren and all the senators are kind of going after these people, because this is something that they can, like, well, we have evidence, right? Like, we all watched this happen. So regardless of what was going on in the back rooms, here what was going on in the front room.
Yeah. And you know, like I said, like, I didn't know the details because I don't know about this stuff. Like it you know, I think you've explained it in a way that I can at least understand a little bit. But yeah, it's
that comes from working at GameStop for 5 years.
Now, do you have now? Let's cap up this story by you, like, ragging on GameStop, because it's also, like, just a terrible company. Like, one of my favorite genre of tweet that came out was basically somebody saying, like, oh, they bought they bought the stock for, you know, X amount of dollars and are gonna get it back for $4.50 in store credit at GameStop.
So I got, all right. So as a former employee and former manager, so it's not like I was just working there. Like I ran my stores. I was involved. I hate those memes because I get the jokes, but, like, if you actually understand the market of trading, the trade values you get for a good game is 50% of the value, which is just like buying a car, right? If you buy a car and drive it off the lot, if you go to sell it the next day, you get 50% of the value for that car.
Right.
So if you buy a brand new game and trade it in at GameStop, you're going to get 50% of the value of that product back. We resell it at a roughly half markup of what we give you for a trade immediately. Where those jokes come from are the people who only come into GameStop once a year to trade in their copy of Madden 19 for Madden 20. Or to trade in their last year's Call of Duty for the new Call of Duty. They come in on the same day. 300 people also came in to trade in a game that nobody will want to buy.
Right.
So I am going to defend that aspect as somebody who deals with it all the time. I understand the jokes. Those jokes are frustrating because the trade values and stuff is fair-ish. When you understand that, like, every GameStop in their back room is sitting on 400 copies of Madden 13 that we can't do anything with. We'll never be able to sell that product. We can't do anything with it. So yes, we gave you 5 cents for it because we would literally rather you throw it in the garbage than add more inventory to our back room. Now, the problems with GameStop aren't so much on the customer front. There is literally no other store you can go into and have a competent video game discussion with what are you going to go walk into Walmart and talk to their tech department about what video game I should get for my kid and think they're going to give you an answer that's competent? that's the service GameStop offers. What GameStop doesn't offer is its employees a livable wage and an environment where it is safe to do your job. And that is the issue I have with GameStop. Now, I come with a lot of baggage as somebody who was robbed at gunpoint at a GameStop, who was beaten up on Black Friday by a gang, and me and a customer beaten up, been threatened with a knife, been choked. Like I've had all the worst experiences you could have.
Jesus.
But yeah, and there's Fortnite. There's Fortnite horror stories I could go into that actually got me to quit the job. And like, yes, Fortnite was the straw that broke the back. Like I was robbed at gunpoint, but Fortnite got me to quit the job.
Wait, do you want to go into what happened? Because like this is
I can go into this because this was a big deal 2 years ago now, I think. Well, I guess this would have been about November of 2019 that this happened. Okay. So this was right during the big Fortnite boom, when Fortnite was becoming just this not just a game, but like a brand is what it is now, right? It is a media platform. Travis Scott released an album on it. Star Wars revealed its trailer on it, right? Like it's a media platform at this point. And that is cool. I'm not saying Fortnite's a great game. I personally am not a huge fan of the game, but if you remove the game and start talking about what Fortnite is, as far as like how we're perceiving media now, it's really fascinating as somebody who loves video games, to see what video games could be that aren't normal video games. We ran a promotion at the beginning of November of 2019, where we got codes for an exclusive candy cane pickaxe, right? It was a pickaxe that looked like a candy cane for the holidays. It was part of a Black Friday deal. The program was you had to buy a Fortnite thing in our store, anything that had Fortnite on it, and you got one code. That was it. You buy this one item, we give you a code. The issue was we were sent these codes. Now we get promotional calls all the time, right? Pokemon sends us one every month. Video games send us these codes all the time. And when we get them in, we open them up, we start handing them out to anyone who comes into the door. Generally, most stores don't follow the rules because we end up sitting on thousands of these that just never go anywhere. So we don't do anything. We just like, yeah, here you go. If you ask and are polite to us, we will give them to you. So we got these codes in, not just my store, every store in the country. And we started handing them out to customers because nobody had communicated anything to us. The following day, we get a message saying, hey, don't hand these out. They are for a promotion we're starting in a week.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, whatever, right? So people started coming in and asking for these codes, right? And we would then have to go, hey, we don't actually hand those out. Here is the details. Starting on this day, you'll have to come in, you'll have to buy a thing, and then we will give you the code. Well, what do I have to buy? Literally anything. I have $4 things, right? You buy this $4 little Fortnite toy, you get your code, you throw the toy in the garbage on your way out the door. I don't care. Like, you have to buy something. But we can't hand out these codes now. Yeah, well, I know somebody who got a code already. I'm aware of that, right? Like, you try to politely do like, I know, but that was a mistake, and this is what we're doing now. When the codes started going out a week later, we ran out within a day. Probably went through 300 of those codes in one day. Wow. Yeah, just absolutely insane. And that was that. They were on cards. They weren't like things that printed on the receipts. We handed you the thing. You left the store. Sold out in a day and a half. For the next month, I was getting daily death threats because we didn't have those.
Whoa.
And not just me, every GameStop store, every employee was receiving
candy
these.
cane, literally
over a free cosmetic item did not affect your game in any way, but it was during the holiday season. So I have parents doing the sad story of like, well, my kid's crying because they didn't get this. Well, I don't know. Ground them. I don't know what to tell you. Like, they shouldn't cry over this. This is nothing. And also, don't come in here and yell at me about that. Like, that's a you problem. Not, obviously it's retail, right? You don't say these things, but yes. Like, you're like, I literally can't do anything. So the fuck you want me to do about it? I had a guy threaten to call the general on me about it, which I did laugh in his face. That is the funniest fucking thing I've ever been told by a human being in my life. I know the attorney general. You don't. He used to be the senator. There's no way you know who he was.
What's he going to do about it?
Yeah, and it was about a month and a half of straight up death threats. We're gonna come to your store, we're gonna kill you. I hope you got somebody to walk into your car. Like for a month and a half.
My
No support
God.
from anyone, right? It's just one of those things. And look, I'm not just saying this is a GameStop thing. If you've worked retail, it's all pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
People are garbage.
Mhm.
But it definitely broke my back and a lot of other employees. I know in the area I live up in Minnesota now. A lot of people left around that time because it just became mentally too exhausting. Now factor in you're working overly long weeks because of it's Black Friday. So you're working very long. I know to keep ragging on them, managers are expected to work weekends, but as somebody who like has a wife and who works a normal adult job, like I literally was not seeing my wife more than a few hours a week because our schedules were the opposite of each other. There's things like that that just drive you insane eventually as you get older and start realizing what's more important, and like I'd rather be unemployed and spending time with my wife than being threatened by teenagers to die at work. Also, they don't pay a
Over
wage.
Candy cane themed weapon on Fortnite.
It was, yeah, the worst. I would rather get robbed at gunpoint again than go through that again.
Yeah, who would have thought that gamers would be kind of shitty? I'd never heard of that before.
It was very rarely the gamers. It was almost exclusively parents.
Oh wow. Yeah. No, I can get that. Yeah.
Kids are running their lives to that point that they feel like they need to threaten to manage the GameStop with death over a limited code that they have no control over.
Candy cane code. Yeah.
Call Fortnite and get on their comment line. Like, what the hell? What do you want from me? That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it, right? They're looking for somebody to take it out on. It's just that is mentally exhausting for, and I was 30, 31 through all this. Like I'm an adult and can handle it. Imagine being like 19.
Yeah. Probably your first
the
job.
Holiday season, right? So like also during the holidays, sometimes you'll hire a high schooler to work like holiday help.
Right.
Who like, cause a 16-year-old, like I've always wanted to work at GameStop, and they generally are good employees because they're just excited to be there.
Mhm.
And they'll take minimum wage. So like, imagine being like 17 and getting yelled at by somebody like that. And like, yeah, it was sad to watch. It was even worse to experience. Treat retail people with everywhere. Treat food service industry people with even more respect, and don't go eat at restaurants. But
Then I
just
feel
be
like
kind.
this is something that we're definitely seeing with COVID too, is how even more unbelievably rude people can be with, someone who's just trying to frickin' work their regular job as a gas station clerk or whatever.
And following the law, right? Like the law is you have to wear a mask in here. That is not like not so much in Iowa, but in other states that handled COVID responsibly, like mine. You have to wear a mask if you're going to go into certain stores.
Well, the city of Cedar Falls has a mask mandate, and people just don't give a fuck. And the businesses don't hold them accountable either. So
and they can't. When we so I obviously have not worked at GameStop during this pandemic, but I have lots of friends who are still there, and they literally have explicit orders from management, like from corporate, that like you can't engage with somebody who refuses to wear a mask. You can politely ask them to wear a mask, but if they say no, you can't call the cops. You can't, hey, you have to leave. You can't do anything. So then what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
I know if I was working there, I'd be an asshole about it.
I go into the Quick Star down the street from me all the time, and at least whenever I go in there once a week, there's one person, mostly a kid, mostly a college kid, most likely a college kid who just walks in sans mask, like and there's a little sign. There's a dog in this apartment?
sorry.
Oh, sorry. I guess I thought it was in my apartment.
Disassociated there for a second.
Yeah, I think I just forgot that.
Sometimes my dog hears a leaf blow, and he just does this because it's his job. So hold on, I'll be right back.
Okay, but yeah, just I there were times when I was just like, why isn't the person like saying anything about it? And then thinking about my time in retail and how it is the mentality of the customer is always right, even when they're wrong. Like that's
And it is partly de-escalation too, right? If you
yes.
do go and engage, you are increasing conflict and accidents to happen. It's why, like, one of the things you're taught, at least at GameStop, like if somebody's shoplifting, you kind of let them do it
Yeah,
because it is more dangerous to like try to stop that from happening. Like you could get shot or stabbed.
yeah, that is pretty
Which
much
happens.
pretty much I think all retail
Yeah.
retail workers. I think even like, not that malls are really a thing anymore, but like mall security can't really do anything, which I'm fine with. I
Or they just
seriously,
hold you in an office until they get the actual police there or whatever. But
I mean,
if
yeah,
you, I don't know, shoplifting is weird. It's also like I feel like most businesses, if they're like not small businesses, probably have like
they probably have insurance for it. They definitely have
insurance or something,
insurance.
whatever that covers
Yeah.
theft. So
When we were robbed at gunpoint, like it was like the dude got obviously a lot of money and like off with some consoles, but like I don't care. Like
Yeah.
we're insured for that
Right.
shit. Like it doesn't affect me any. But the mental
Except for
exhaustion
the
of having a
trauma.
gun
Yeah,
pointed
the
in your face,
trauma.
that lasts. That doesn't kind of go away.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Oof. But yeah, moral of the story,
We have
kids.
we now had 2 guests on our podcast that have been robbed at gunpoint.
was
One
the
worked
other
at
one?
GameStop and Megan Roth
Oh,
at
right,
Pizza
right, right.
Hut.
Yeah. Okay. Probably
Delivery?
more. We just never talked about it.
She was like managing a Pizza Hut, same sort of situation. Guy just came inside and
Yep.
robbed the store.
What happened to robbing banks? Like, can we
Yeah, go get the real
can't we leave
money.
these people making $7.25 an hour alone and just
alone.
do the old fashioned? It's a much cooler story. If you're a criminal, it's a much cooler story. It's just like, yeah, I got like $300 robbing a McDonald's. It's just like, no. I got a lot of money robbing a bank, like Jesse James.
And once you cross $5,000, it's a felony. So what does it matter if you grab 5,000 or 25,000 at that point? Like at that point, the crime is the same.
Yeah, just you can reenact. You can do some cool shit. You can
Well,
reenact the bank robbing scenes from Heat.
A half ounce of weed is also a felony, so let's keep that in perspective. God damn it, legalize it.
Legalize. Okay, I'm not gonna do a Jamaican accent. That's super fucked up. Anyway,
yes, that would be bad,
Yes, that would be bad.
would have to go back to talking about cancel culture.
Yes, that would be bad. I have to do my apology, or
At least
be
you
really.
recognize you were doing something stupid before you actually did it.
Yes.
That's growth. That's progress.
Yes. Yeah, I could either apologize or get really belligerent about it and become be a guest on like Ben Shapiro's show or what the fuck ever. Anyway,
or you can just double down and refuse to apologize like Tina Fey.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone just eventually ignores it and pretends it never happened.
Yeah.
I don't think Josh has nearly as much pull as Tina Fey yet. But
Yes. Soon.
He's moving on up.
Yeah, I mean, like she was a head SNL writer by the time she was my age, but anyway, how about we close this out by Tanner? You got 2 first names, so I'm just like I can never figure out what to call you.
I don't though. My first name is Tanner.
That's true. That's true. If you were on Full House, you'd be Tanner.
That's literally when I DJ'd. My name I used was DJ Tanner, and I ended every show by playing the Full House theme song.
And by the way, that's
a fucking legend to me now.
That's a joke in the reboot of Full House. Like Stephanie, the middle sister, is a DJ and she's named DJ Tanner, and the oldest daughter's DJ. Yeah.
Well, my lawyers will see to that because I was doing it years ago.
All right, but
legendary.
Tanner, why don't you tell us some other nerdy shit that you're looking forward to? I think we talked about the Godzilla thing. I'm looking forward to Godzilla versus Godzilla versus Kong. I guess is what it's called.
That one, it's happening right around my wife's and mine anniversary. And let me just bring him up here real quick. We love Godzilla. We love him very much. He is our favorite. This is my son.
Is that nice?
Is that why you're groping his chest?
Yeah, I'm a Conway.
Jesus.
So we are debating actually doing our first renting a theater out to watch that movie in theaters, because if I can't hear Godzilla roar and feel it in my taint, it's not the same. And as much as I like my home theater I built over quarantine, I want to rumble when that dude screams and rips the arms off of a giant ape. So I'm excited to go to a movie theater for maybe the first time in a year.
I
miss them so much.
Yeah, I wasn't disappointed not seeing Wonder Woman 84 in theaters, especially after
watching it.
Just like hearing like they're gonna release it like March?
Yep, end of March.
And how things are again, like I said, things are probably not going to cool down until June or something like that. That's a movie that like I'm going to be disappointed in not seeing in theaters. Although I hope that
can Josh and I just also come to your anniversary and just sit like in a
we'll sit in a different section.
We've debated like, well, we can have 10 people in the theater, but also it could just be us, which is the best way to see a movie.
Yeah, but we'll like wear all black. You won't know we're even there.
But how am I supposed to do the popcorn trick if I get camera shy with other people in the room?
Oh man.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, you're not allowed to share popcorn either.
Yeah. I don't think you got his joke.
I didn't.
No, I was going to share a hand job inside of the popcorn.
It was a hand job. You know,
inside
the whole
the popcorn?
Yeah, you cut a hole in the bottom of the popcorn tub?
Yeah.
That thing that used to happen in the movies in the 70s that no human beings ever done in real life. So if you cut a hole in the bottom of the popcorn,
I thought people just
popcorn's all
did
gonna
that
fall
with
out.
no popcorn involved. I thought like the movie theater was just kind of free game.
You still gotta have the popcorn. They're not going to just give
you put your hand in a tub of popcorn with nothing in it.
Well, nobody else
like
is
no, they're
there.
not going to give you a tub of popcorn without popcorn, a tub of a popcorn container without popcorn in it, because they know what you're going to do.
You've clearly not watched enough movie theater-based pornography.
Don't watch pornography of any kind, actually.
I actually
humble brag.
Oh, what?
I said not supposed to be brag, but kind of.
I actually a couple of years back I saw they played Wrath of Khan at the Marcus Theater up here. Well, no, it was in Waterloo, I believe. But no one was there. I was a little disappointed in the local trekkers. But I had the theater all to myself.
Angie was there. Oh wait, no, that was a different. She went like the day before you.
Okay,
anyway,
yeah.
I do remember you telling me no one was there.
Yeah, and you know what? It was like a Wednesday, or something. Not Wednesday, like a Monday. But yeah, that
was the thing I miss about working retail. Because I would have like weird days off, right? Like my days off are Tuesday and Thursday, but going to a movie on like a Tuesday afternoon at 1:00 in an empty theater, like I miss getting that opportunity to be in an empty theater on a weekday afternoon where it's dirt cheap. And you're just there. I saw The Lighthouse and Parasite in that. Like that was my 2019, was just seeing good movies in a theater by myself in the daytime. It was the best year I had for movies.
Yeah, there are so many great small movies that came out in 2019. Uncut Gems, fantastic. But I do miss like seeing a movie with people. Like I remember like I saw the midnight premiere of The Dark Knight in a theater, like crowded theater, and Jesus Christ, that was like one of the coolest movie-going experiences, just to see that movie.
You want to kill the superhero genre? Take movie theaters out of the equation, because those movies suck when you watch them at home. They are not fun.
Which is probably
you're just sitting there going like, "Oh, these aren't good movies." But in a theater, you can forget all of that.
Which is probably why Wonder Woman 88, 84 didn't do like could have like
It
been
also
better
was bad.
reviewed. Maybe a little bit better reviewed if it was in theaters.
I don't know. That movie was bad.
Anyway, but
Well,
yeah,
we're gonna have a fight on the podcast over here.
it's
I'll
gonna
do a
be
whole
it's
second
gonna
podcast breaking down my problems with Wonder Woman 84 from the political to the cinematography. I can cover it all.
Okay.
maybe
Word
maybe
up.
we'll have to have a special recording at some point. But anyway,
Hey, let's do a recording on breaking down what works and doesn't work in the DC universe. We'll tie it into the Snyder cut.
Yeah.
Shazam. End
What
of
works,
list.
Shazam and Birds of Prey. What doesn't work, everything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway. Why don't you bring up one more thing that you're excited about in terms of nerd crap?
So I am privileged enough to have a PS5. So the thing I am most excited about this year is the only thing I like more than movies is video games.
I cannot tell by the Funko Pops behind you.
Yes, that are almost exclusively video game ones at the moment. Movie ones are over by my TV where my movie theater setup is. There's another few hundred on the other side of this computer. But after the disappointment of Cyberpunk, there's some stuff coming out this year, supposedly this year. Obviously, there's a good chance every video game coming out this year is going to get delayed. But there's a new Horizon Forbidden West is scheduled to come out this year. There's the new God of War game might be coming out this year. The new Zelda Breath of the Wild game might be coming out this year. Metroid Prime 4 might be coming out this year. I know those aren't on the PS5, but I can dream. There's an Indiana Jones game that just got announced. It's a dumb one, but I'm very, very excited for the Lego Star Wars game that's coming out in a few months. This should be a good year. It's the first year of a new hardware, so they're still figuring it out. But if anyone hasn't gotten to use a PS5 yet, the controller is unlike any other controller that's ever been in a video game system, with the way they have haptic feedbacks and dual sense technology. So there's a good example. There's a little demo game that comes on the PS5 where you play a little robot named Astrobot, and you're literally the game takes place inside the PS5. The demo is teaching you how the hardware of the PS5 works. So there is a level where you go through the GPU, and it's a platforming game. Think old school Ratchet and Clank, like it's a game, but it's also explaining you this is what a GPU does. It renders graphics, and this is how it does it. And this is the specific GPU inside of the PS5. And as you're playing this, it's referencing other PlayStation video games. So like you'll walk by a character that is dressed up like Kratos and Atreus from the last God of War game, or you'll walk by an Astrobot hiding in a cardboard box, and then when you hit the box, it makes the Metal Gear alert noise. And right, so it's full of references. It's the cutest thing. But you're a robot, and when you run on the metal, your controller feels like metal on metal. It like has little tappy noises and like also feeling. So you feel each individual footstep in your hand on the controller. When you run on ice, it feels and sounds different. Like you can actually feel the difference between running on sand, ice, cement. I don't know how they did it. It's a truly marvelous piece of technology that completely is going to change immersion in video gaming. What the PS5 is going to do with that over the next couple of years is I'm excited for every game that has it now.
Right. It sounds like that's something you like. I'm trying to imagine it. Because like what we've been used to for the past decade or so is the rumble packs, probably longer, probably like 20 years is the rumble packs. And just I don't know what you mean, but I'm excited to in like 5 years when the price goes down to figure
an example that I can give that maybe more people can relate to is the HD Rumble on the Nintendo Switch. If you have a Nintendo Switch, which many more people have than PS5s, if you play Mario Odyssey, there's a level where you run up a hill while boulders are coming down, right? And you just dodge the boulders as you're running up. But on the controller, you can actually feel the thing go from the top of your hand. You can feel the boulder pass your hand as you go down,
wow.
right?
All right.
But the Switch is functionally 2 generations old. It is a very it's not a very powerful system. It's essentially a Wii, but a little bit better. It's not even as strong as a PS5 or an Xbox One, which is no shame. Nintendo doesn't need to be a graphical powerhouse. It just needs to have Mario and Zelda on it, and it will be the best system ever.
Yeah, Nintendo is the
but
Disney.
imagine,
I was gonna say Nintendo is the Disney
if that technology was added to a hardware that is actually technically advanced, that is actually
right.
a powerhouse. My PS5 is almost as tall as my TV, right? The console is like this, like you can't even see it in the frame. It's massive. It is a giant computer that I have sitting there. It can just do more from a tech perspective. So if you've experienced it on the Switch, the PlayStation is that, but like cranked up to 14.
Okay.
But COVID ruined it, right? They couldn't do demos. You can't walk
Yeah.
into a Best Buy and have them put it in your hand so you can feel it.
Yeah.
When you feel it for the first time, it is an experience where you're like, oh, this actually is different than what I'm used to, and it's really fucking cool.
Okay. All right.
It's my little nerdy thing that has brought me joy.
Hey,
Fantastic.
you gotta find the joy in the little things.
Like a $500 console. Well, I mean, yeah, that does sound cool. Like
marketplace.
Yeah, I can't wait to play it, especially since I've been wanting to trade in my Xbox for a PlayStation, mainly because I want to play Spider-Man, because I hear that game is one of the best, probably the best superhero game of all time. I don't know if you
undoubtedly.
Yeah. Like better than
it's not even close.
Yeah, so like better than Arkham City.
Yeah, better than Superman 64.
Okay,
yeah, better than the Aquaman game.
No,
that's great.
No, that's a huge guy. It's like arguing like so Godfather. That's a great movie. Like yeah. It's better than Birdemic. It's better than Plan 9 from Outer Space.
No, I think why it's better than all those other ones is obviously mechanically it is perfect, right? The thrill of web slinging around their version of New York is remarkable,
which is
especially on the PS5 version of it, because you can feel when you're web slinging, the controller's tension changes. So as you reach the fulcrum of the swing, the actual trigger you hold to swing tightens and like becomes harder to press, like you're gripping it harder. It's insane.
Wow.
But also the story it tells is amazing. It's a very emotional, like it makes me cry several times in the campaign. Yeah, it's real good.
Okay. All right.
And I love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Obviously. So. All right. Well, we should be wrapping up. Tanner, thank you so much for being on here. Do you have what would you like to plug right now?
All my productions are on hiatus. Follow me on Twitch. My Twitch handle is Tan Tantrum, TANTANTRUM. My Twitter, which is generally where I post, hey, I'm going to be on Twitch in a little bit. And that's it. If you want to watch me play Hitman and see what that game's about, that's what I'm doing right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Liberty, anything you want to say?
No, not really. I guess I'm going to be doing my first comedy open mic since I don't even know when. On Monday night at Fox Ridge Golf Course in Dyke.
Right, I heard they're starting to do some stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go there and check it out. It's a really big building, so I'm not.
Hopefully, it's a safe environment.
Safety, and I also think that there's not going to be anybody hardly there. So, I'm
it's
gonna
in a golf
go
course
and try
in
out
a small town.
jokes.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's a nice venue. It's a very nice venue.
In a very tiny town. Actually, I went to high school there, so it's gonna be a little weird. Being back, because I think I've been back there, but only in the gas station twice since I graduated in 2008. So
have you convinced them to cancel their town name yet?
I have not. No, I have not convinced them to cancel their town name.
Quit making it awkward for us to say the name of your town.
So I am going to do that. Other than that, no, I don't really have anything to pitch. Maybe I'll try and record it and put it up on YouTube or something.
Nice. Fantastic.
Fuck yeah.
And I have another podcast. It's called I Love This Flick. You know, I have two versions of it. One's called I Love This Trash. The other's called I Love This Treasure. Tanner has been on it. We discussed
Woo, woo. Brigsby Bear.
Plans 9 from Outer Space and Brigsby Bear, both really good episodes. He was my first guest. Go back and watch it. I'm gonna drop. I haven't been posting for a while, but I am gonna drop another episode very soon with my good friend and a previous guest, Curtis Parrish. So that should be pretty cool. So check that out, YouTube, all the things. And of course, for this podcast, please like and subscribe, share. That'll help us all out a lot. Other than YouTube, you can find it on YouTube if you're listening to it. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can listen to us on most of the platforms: Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcast, Castbox. Places you can find podcasts. See if you can find us. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have a link tree down below, so with all the places you can find us. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening today. I'm Josh Pfizer.
Bye. See you next time. Signing out.
Bye.
Liberty Bell. Peace.
And you don't have to go home, but you can stay here. Good night, everybody.